So this is Ronald Berry, and I don't know how to say the last name. Knudtson, Ronald Berry Knudtson. He's 56 years of age, and he had a car accident, and he drove over a cliff, and he got killed. He died, and it's a sad, tragic story. I have been focusing on homicides because I'd like to think in a civilized society we would be against one person murdering another person. Now, I came across this story, and it wasn't a pedestrian run over, but it was basically the guy deserves to be remembered. The Native Americans, they said, when you say the name of the dead to the earth, they're still alive. Ronald Berry Knudtson, Knudtson. There's a person that's going to complain about something. You could write how to pronounce the damn thing. Well, you didn't pronounce it right. Okay, well, what's the correct, Knudtson? That's what it looks like, Knudtson. Anyways, he's 56 years of age. To the earth, he's still alive. Every time you say his name, Ronald Berry Knudtson. So, R.I.P. Ronald Berry. Here's a couple. Let's see. He's from Pueblo West. Said he passed away on February 9th. I thought it was the 10th, but this is 12 days ago, 2022. There's a celebration of life, 10:30, Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022, Pueblo West Baptist Church. So, I don't know if he's a Baptist or his family is. He's got a nice, gentle demeanor. Here's his obituary, and it didn't really say anything about him at all. He lived, he died. It does say he's preceded by his grandparents, William Esther Varner, Kermit, and Anna Knudtson, his aunts. Sorry, I don't... Knudtson. Okay. His aunts Sharon Mortimer and Kathleen Miller, and his cousin Melissa Whalen. He's survived by his children Cash, Darla, and Knut. His parents Ronald Knudtson and Blanche Knudtson, and his siblings Christine Talamantes, Thomas Knudtson, Matthew Knudtson. He's also survived by 9 nieces and nephews, extended family and friends. There's a celebration of life going to be held Wednesday, March 2nd, 2022, 10:30 a.m. to 11:30 a.m. at the Pueblo West Baptist Church, 180 East Croydon Drive, Pueblo West, Colorado. His neighbors are Mia Forcenta, Anthony Quintana, Viola Fisher, Clarence Fisher, Paul Basquez, Bertha Basquez, Sarah Brotherton, Kenneth Alvarez, John Gagnier, and Justin Sturdivant. This is just, who is this man? Who is this man, okay? I didn't do anything to him. He had a terrible accident. He's dead, and it's awful. I'm sorry for your loss. I didn't do it. Sorry for your loss. And so if you're, confused about what you should do, well, you should remember his legacy. You should remember who he was. Who was Ronald Berry Knudtson? Let's get everybody pronouncing his last name correctly. You could go ahead and type in how to pronounce it, or make a video and pronounce it for the rest of us. If something happened to me, I want people to talk about me and what happened with me. I didn't want to, have an untimely demise. So if you're having trouble figuring out how you're supposed to, mourn, not by being shitty to other people So Ronald Knudtson, he's part of the Republican Party. I'm just trying to piece, this is all the information I got. He lives 745 South Watermelon Drive, Pueblo West. He's with the Republican Party. 3rd Congressional District, 46th State House, 3rd State Senate District. He's been registered to vote since 2016, so for the last 6 years, he's in Pueblo County. So he has family, he's got neighbors, he's got friends. It says related records: Thomas Beck, John Gagnier, Chris Cordova. Maybe maybe they know him. I don't know. So, yeah, we need to know who he is. Who is Ronald Barry Knudtson? Who is this guy? He just went driving one day and drove over a cliff. Here, let me read the complaint. His name is not pronounced like that. He was my cousin, and he didn't kill himself, but thanks. He still, he was my cousin, I guess, because he did used to live. He still is your cousin. And it's up to the people, the survivors, to remember the dearly departed. So let's start with the Little Prince first, and then we'll get into some Emil Durkheim. So you're wondering, okay, you just had a terrible loss. Ronald Barry looked like a nice man. Had an accident. Most likely it was an accident. But people get into vehicles and they drive recklessly, not giving a damn if they live or die. So I'll get back to that here in a second. Here is the Little Prince. It's talking about how adults don't really know what's important. They don't know what's important. They always want to talk about the dumb shit, but never the important stuff. They never ask, what does his voice sound like? What games does he love best? Does he collect butterflies? Instead, they demand, how old is he? How many brothers has he? How much does he weigh? How much money does his father make? Only from these figures do they think that they've learned anything about him. So, there you go. Ronald Barry Knudtson, what does his voice sound like? What did Ronald sound like? He looks like he's got a kind face. Does his voice match his face? Did he have like a overly baritone voice? Like that one homeless guy that just belted out like opera? What games does he love best? Did he play basketball? Was he a skier? Did he love Monopoly or chess or checkers or Nintendo games? Who was this man? Who was this man? What was the essence of who this person was? Ronald Barry, he just wanted everybody to smile. He just wanted what? He's just a nice guy. He wanted everybody to know he's a nice guy. He wanted everybody to laugh. He wanted everybody to be informed. He was for political revolution. Who is Ronald Barry Knudtson? Who is it? Who is he? It's up to the survivors to let the rest of us know he's dead now, right? So that's it. That's the end of his chapter. That's a bookend, right? So that's a period at the end of his sentence. So if you got to know who Ronald Barry was and you liked him, then you should tell everybody who he was. Because I didn't get a chance to meet him. Did he collect butterflies? The part where she says, oh, and he didn't kill himself, but thanks. Okay, that's, goodness gracious. So, there's only so many options that could have, there was the article that I read said alcohol and cell phone use, could have been a factor. Could have been. Or maybe he was driven, off the road. Maybe there's foul play. Maybe it was murder. Maybe there was mechanical failure. Maybe it was just reckless driving. Or maybe it was suicide. Maybe he was suicidal, and those are the 4 options. Could be murder, mechanical failure, suicide, or reckless driving. I'm inclined to believe Occam's razor says that the simplest solution, the most obvious, simplest solution is probably correct. So I'm inclined to believe that it was reckless driving, probably not murder, probably mechanical failure, maybe, I don't know. But Emil Durkheim, he wrote on suicide, and he's the father of sociology. And what he did is he just pointed out a whole bunch of car accidents afflict the young. And he looked into their lives, and there was things that were going on in their lives that led him to conclude that it wasn't just an accident. They were driving recklessly, hoping something would happen. Jessica Brierley, I knew a woman, Jessica Brierley, beautiful woman. She worked at Pilot in Richwood, Kentucky. She sang at my graduation. Jessica Brierley, beautiful, nice, sweet. But I remember at work, she dated Jeremy Pope. At work, one at Pilot, she had mentioned something about she can understand just driving and not caring if, what happens. And then they found like cigarette burns on her legs. So I don't feel like she intentionally went out to hurt herself. But if she's driving crazily and don't care what happened, that's a cause for alarm. But she could have also just dropped her cigarette at that moment in time. Paige Pierce, she got shot up. Well, that's different. Tony Gripshover, my uncle, who I never got to meet, he's going to die in 1973, 9 years before I was born. And he's 18 years of age. He comes from a big family, a big farm family. But he lived during the 60s and 70s. He wanted to get out and live life. He bought a vehicle, and then he was wanting to get his own job and find his own wife, basically start his own life. And how dare he in this, in the farm, Camillus ran a tight ship. He needed little slaves to work his farm. And Tony Gripshover didn't want to be a slave. So they got into an argument. He gets kicked out of the house, and now the entire family, his home where he grew up, he doesn't have the home. He doesn't have the people he's by himself. He's out there in the middle of nowhere. He's going to get drunk. He's going to wrap himself up on a tree. William Rich was with him. And, the way the survivors talk about it, William Rich, it might have been him. He might have had something to do with it. No, it's probably Tony Gripshover got drunk, was driving a little reckless. Was he suicidal at that point in time? I would say probably not. Probably not. But he had a lot of reasons to feel sad, and he put himself in a situation where he's, drinking and driving. And so Emil Durkheim wrote on suicide, and this is the father of sociology, because when somebody kills themselves, as a society, we lost. As a species, we're not supposed to want to end ourselves. As human beings, right, as a species. So when somebody kills themselves, yeah, that person, did whatever. But we as a society, according to Emil Durkheim, is responsible. Nobody could have reached out. Nobody could have talked to him. Nobody could have baked him a nice blueberry pie. Nobody could have. Now that's Tony Gripshover. That's Jessica Brierley and Tony Gripshover. R.I.P. to all these. Paige Pierce, to the dearly departed. Who was Tony Gripshover? What did his voice sound like? I have no idea. I have no idea what his voice sounded like. His siblings was jealous. He pissed daddy off. And his all brothers and sisters, they all turned their back on him. He recorded a little tape where he was singing, and they said he's got a beautiful voice. But I have no idea what the hell he sounds like because 2 of the siblings destroyed the tape. That's the opposite direction. I want to know who Tony Gripshover was. I don't want you to destroy who he was. If anything, you got to tell me who he was now, because if you don't tell me who he was now, then we'll never know. He can't tell me himself. He's, died at 18, so he's going to be forever young. Jessica Brierley, she died 18, 19 years of age too. So I'm inclined to believe that it was just reckless driving. Yeah, maybe he got a drink or not. I don't. None of that moves me. I'm not worried about none of that. Probably not foul play or murder or mechanical failure, but if it was, and we truly loved Ronald Berry, well, we need to go get the person that did the damn thing. If it's mechanical failure, we need to have a lawsuit against the car company. If it was just reckless, driving, shit happens. But if it was suicide, then we as a society need to say, well, shit, here we had a nice man, you know? I keep reading these stories about all these piles of shit that keep injuring other people. Ronald Berry didn't look like he would hurt others. He looked like he was a kind person. It seemed like it would hurt him if he hurt somebody else. But you got all these piles of shit that just go around injuring other people. The law is supposed to stop one person from injuring another person, and nobody says shit about that. So the best thing we could do is, did Tony Gripshover like to collect butterflies? What was his favorite games? What was his favorite sayings? Who was he? What was he about? He was a hard worker, a dutiful son. Who was he? Who was the essence of Tony? He's going to be forever young. That's the end of his chapter. And it's up for the dearly departed. Tony Gripshover, I'll tell you a couple things about Tony. He used to defend his mother. So while his father would beat the crap out of his mother, Tony Gripshover would defend his mother whenever his schoolmates would make fun of her because she was heavyweight. She was, obese. So Tony Gripshover was actually a good man. What, you're making fun of my mother? His dad's beating the shit out of her, so he can't do anything about that. But he's not going to let his schoolmates goddamn make fun of her. No fucking way. So he loved his mother. He defended his mother, stood up for his mother. He wanted something more for himself. He liked to sing. He had a little guitar. So he's fucking Elvis. He could have been, who knows what Tony Gripshover could have made of himself. He died at 18, so he never got the chance. He never got the chance to be whoever the hell he was going to be. So Tony Gripshover is all potential. He's Kentuckian, German. Gripshover's a German. Anthony Aloysius. Aloysius means fame and war. Anthony, Tony. So that's a little bit about Tony Gripshover. Just what I've heard. Jessica Brierley, I told you about her. Beautiful, nice, sweet. She sang at, my graduation in 2000. Or all of our graduation. She worked at Pilot at the same place I was working. She kind of was like right there, but I never really noticed her that much. And I think the world is a lesser place because we don't have Tony Gripshover, Jessica Brierley, and Ronald Berry Knudtson. I wish the accident didn't happen. I'm inclined to believe that it was reckless driving and shit happens. Those other things are a possibility, right? Anything's possible, but those are the only possibilities. And then ultimately, Occam's razor says it was reckless driving. So Elizabeth Stevens, if you want to go ahead and pronounce it the way, you're supposed to pronounce it. I know if he has to deal with this dumb shit. He didn't kill him, but thanks. If anything happens to me, I'd like for you to talk about me. Who was Jonathan Masters? What was his essence? What was his... He was just a comedian, wanted to make us all laugh. He was wanting to change the world. He wanted health care, wanted orphanages to stop the wars, to stop people from hurting one another, to stop crime. He's for police reform. He's for helping the homeless. I'd like to be remembered. And when people are sitting there saying, don't say my name, don't talk about me. Well, he was my cousin. Yeah, that don't mean shit. If anything, don't trust anybody that says so. Yeah, it's called the golden rule. Do unto others as you'd have them do unto you. R.I.P. Ronald Berry, Knudtson, 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 Knudtson.